Hi, today I'm going to be walking my client Colin through NASM's protocol for myofascial release and lengthening of muscles. So beforehand, we already had Colin do the NASM overhead squat, and that's how we figured out what muscles were overactive and what we needed to stretch and release. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate using a foam roller how to myofascial release your pectoralis major. So what you're going to do is you're going to angle this on the floor at about 45-degree angle to your sternum. You're going to put your arm out to the side, and then you're just going to move it till you find a tight spot right there. And then you're just going to sit it for about 30 to 90 seconds, depending on how tight it is, how much it hurts. And you're going to progress from there. So if it's really sore, you're going to use 30 seconds, which is about the minimum. And then if it's kind of tight, but you're not really feeling it, for someone who's done more in-depth releases, you're going to set it for 90 seconds. Okay. So now I'll just have you come down and do as I did. Just angle the foam roller to your armpit, like so, stick your arm up. And now as he's doing this, we want to just make sure that he's in a nice straight line, that nothing's wonky or out of place aside from the normal. His left hand's good there, and he's clearly found the tight spot, so now we just start to time it. Now when you're doing myofascial release, once you find that tight spot, you sit that, as I've said, for the 30 to 90 seconds, and you do that once. You sit each tight spot for 30 to 90 seconds, depending on what you need. Some notes for doing this is you want to be aware of if your client has any past medical history. So if they have osteoporosis, they've broken a bone, you want to be very careful because you're loading all of that up as you're releasing these muscles. All right, Colin, go ahead and stand up. How'd that feel? Great. Yeah, it did. All right, the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to have him come over to the wall here, and we're going to do some static stretching. So what he's going to do is he's going to stand parallel to the wall, arm outright at 90 degrees, place it on the wall, and just walk forward until he feels that stretch come through the chest. And then for this, he's going to hold it for anywhere from 20 to 90 seconds as well, just like the myofascial release. And now as you have him doing this, once again, as trainers, we're just watching for any breakdowns. We're making sure that he's not twisting or bending or, just doing anything a little too funky for our liking. So Colin, I'll have you come up to the wall. Stretch your arm out. Don't rest on your elbow. Yeah. How's that feel? Good. And you should be feeling it just in the fibers coming down, attaching to your sternum. You feel that? Yep. Good. Now, as you can see, as we do all of these techniques, you can do them at home. So you don't need a big fancy gym. If you don't have a foam roller, you could use a water bottle, you could use a tennis ball, golf ball, really anything that you might have lying around your house. It just depends how creative you want to get and how comfortable your client is with doing it. All right, now I'll just have you come over to the stool here. Now take a seat. Now, do you mind if I touch you at all? Sure. Good. That's one thing you want to make sure that your client's comfortable with you touching them, because you don't want to just take the liberty and start getting all up on them because, well, some people, their bubble is bigger than others. So what I'm going to have Colin do now for the neuromuscular stretching is he's going to bring his hands up behind his head like so. And then I'm just going to stand in behind him, bracing at his elbows, resting my hands on his torso. And I'm just going to pull back, and he's going to tell me when he feels tension. Right there. Right there. Now, when you're doing this stretch, you want to be very careful because we have way more mechanical advantage on him than he does on us. So if you get too eager about it, you don't have communication with your client, you're going to rip his arms off. Now what I'm going to have him do is he's going to push against my arms, trying to bring his elbows together for about 7 to 10 seconds, according to nasm. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. All right, and go. Then you take them just a little bit farther. How's that feel? Good. Good. And then we hold that for 20 to 30 seconds. Okay, go ahead and push ball. Good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11. One more time, and we're going to do this 1 to 4 times depending on what your client needs. Now, one thing while you're doing this, it's a good idea to have a watch or a clock set up around you so that you can easily look at it without having to count to yourself. I keep a running count just so that the client feels like you're doing something and you're not just standing around lollygagging. All right, go ahead and push. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and relax. Good. How's that feel? Good? Good. So now we're going to come back, and that's how you do the self-myofascial release, static stretching, and neuromuscular stretching for the pectoralis major. So now what we're going to have them do is we're going to come back to the foam roller, and we're going to do the lateral gastrocnemius, which is outside here. And once again, just like with the pec, you're just going to have him roll until he finds that tight spot. Once he finds that tight spot, he holds it for 20 to 30 seconds, or rather 20 to 90, depending on how tight it is. Now, depending on how tight it is, you can regress as a few different ways. You can either put both calves on it, so that the one calf isn't taking the full load. You can take that away, so that you have just one calf taking the full load. Or if need be, you can place your opposite leg on it and push down a little bit until you feel the adequate pressure. That being said, you don't want to be twisting and contorting and picking yourself up off the floor. You want to just put a little resistance, a little more weight down on the knot. So I'm going to have you just come take a seat. Yeah, so start lower and then roll up. And just roll. And once you find that tight spot. All right. Now once again, just like for when we did the pec, you sit the tight spot for one rep of 20 to 90 seconds. How's that feeling? Tight. Yeah. Yeah. Mine always go. I've been working on mine for a couple months and they're still super tight. Good. All right, so let's stand up. All right, so now we're going to do the static stretch for your calf. And you're going to find a wall. You're going to place your foot up on the wall, and you're just going to lean forward slightly until you feel the pull. And for this, just like with the chest, you go until you feel tension, and then you go just a little bit past that, and then you hold that for 20 to 90 seconds. And then for static stretching, you do 1 to 4 repetitions of 3 sets. And with the static stretching, you can do this 5 days a week. There's no real limitations to it. It's a great way just to get your clients moving and stretching out and get the blood flowing versus the inactive lifestyle that North American society has come to know and love. All right, come on up. Now, once again, as we're monitoring him as he's stretching, we want to just make sure that the body's in alignment, that everything, his kinetic chain is stacked as we go down. The one thing with this that you can't see with his tight pants is a lot of people, they'll hyperextend their knee backwards, which we want to avoid because we don't want to put any more undue stress on that joint, which he's doing a great job of not doing. Now that I think about it, I probably hyperextended mine. All right. Now I'm going to have him take a seat in this nice, lovely chair. Once again, if you're put your legs up, if you're in a gym, slide down just a bit so that your ankle's off the edge. If you're in a gym, you can use a bench. If you're at home, you can use chairs, whatever your client's comfortable with. So now we're going to do the neuromuscular stretching for the calf, the gastrocnemius. And so what I'm going to have him do is I'm going to bring up his foot to 90 degrees, like so. And then I'm going to sit down so I can brace himself on the couch. He's going to push his foot into my palm. 7. And now he's going to relax, and I'm going to push his foot just a little bit further. Once again, holding 20 to 30 seconds, just like we did with the pec. And then he's going to push into my hand for 7 to 10 seconds after that. So we've got another 3 to 4 repetitions of this. Each time, we try and take that joint to a little greater range of motion than you did the previous time, so that we're actually stretching it versus being ineffective. And push. 7, relax. How's that feeling? Good? Good. I'm sort of push again, and I'm like, that's not right. And push. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. A little bit further. Now, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that the knee isn't buckling down, that his ankle is staying in that straight plane. You don't want it everting, inverting. You want to keep it straight. Keeping that kinetic chain in line. Wow, you're looking nice and relaxed, eh?
Yeah, it's a good one.
And last push, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. Good. You can just stay seated. And that is the NASM protocol for myofascial release, static stretching, and neuromuscular stretching. I would like to give a big shout out to my client Colin and the lovely Steph behind the camera for helping me out with this. Thank you for watching and have a good day.